Welcome to the second instance of the Services Roadshow by Base4NFDI, where currently funded basic services pitch themselves, followed by a non-public Q&A session moderated by our team. IAM, the stage is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. So, my name is Marius Politze. I'm one of the speakers of the Identity and Access Management IAM4NFDI project, and I'm happy on behalf of the whole project team to present a bit about the current state and about the service that we are trying to offer to the NFDI community and to the NFDI consortium. And let me start a bit with the motivation and the overview of about what we're doing. So this identity and access management, like the name says, it's about accessing things and accessing things with your identity. And this kind of identity is closely connected to where you're coming from and what your where your home is in your home institution, and typically so-called institutional identity. And it's about access, so it's about the accessibility feature in FAIR, providing access to people, especially also restricted access, and managing this kind of access not only on an individual level, but also on a level of virtual organizations, and attaching that to the individual services. And this all is governed and supported by certain policies and frameworks and a trust level coming from the individual institutions up to the structures in the European Open Science Cloud, where we adopt a lot of our architecture, or actually all of our architecture from. So how does that look like if we go into the technical details? And I'll try to introduce the architecture more or less step by step. And what we have is what we call this the NFDI AAI, the authentication and authorization infrastructure for the NFDI, and that is based on the AARC blueprint architecture, which was or is a European Open Science Cloud project. So we're directly connected to that, and we're especially interoperable with other ERC AAI infrastructures, such as the German NHR or EGI or Life Science AAI on the international level. And how we are realizing it is we do have 4 different implementations of so-called community AAIs, which is the entry point for the NFDI consortia to attach to the NFDI AAI, and where each NFDI consortium can build their own virtual representation, their own virtual organization on to put in the members and manage the membership within this community AAI. And this is all attached to the EduGain Federation, which has been around for quite some years, which actually does enable the individual institutions to run their institutional login based on the national research and education federations. And so you don't need to have a new account or anything, but you can just reuse the institutional accounts that are already there within the community AAIs. And one other part of the infrastructure that we've built up is the so-called infrastructure proxy. I'm going to go into a bit more detail of how you can use that in a second. And all of the community AIs are based on or built on the shoulders of different institutions who have been already doing this for quite some years. We've spread this out to have different, to allow different kinds of feature sets and focus groups here. So it's really a matter of choosing the right tool and the right community AI for your application or for your NFDI consortium. So let's go through this, through parts of this structure. One part of the component is this so-called infrastructure proxy. And this infrastructure proxy is basically what helps to connect your services, or is a central entry point for your service that connects you through the to all of the community AI instances. And this also acts as a central hub for the upcoming ERC AI Federation. So this is really the point where you can integrate the services and where you only have to do one integration to cover a whole set of technical requirements. And for us, why we started this is to be able to actually address the issue of cross-community use cases that do not only bring in requirements from one community, but also need to bridge between different communities and need to integrate information and link information from the different community AIs in order to cover use cases that are reaching out of single communities. And how we're doing that is essentially we're connecting all of our community AIs, but we're also connecting information from other sources there. So it also hooks up especially to ORCID and might also hook up to other social logins. It especially hooks up to the so-called EduID proxy, which is a infrastructure that's currently built up by the DFN network to give people a unique and everlasting identifier. And it also collects the virtual organization membership from the different community AIs. And then this can all be forwarded to the services that make use of the infrastructure. And yeah, I briefly introduced the EduID before, which is a relatively new service that's just being put into production by the DFN network. And so we're there on a very cutting edge part of technology. And it is something that has been developed in parallel to the IAM4NFDI project. And it's not essentially part of the things that we are right now doing. But we have decided to integrate it from the very start to make sure that that we're not missing out on any chances here. And the goal of the EduID project is to really provide this lifelong and self-managed digital identity for a researcher or member of higher education, really follow through the different phases of changing institutions or changing affiliations over time. And this has been a huge problem in research and mobility, and we kind of want to adapt to that and help that with the EduID. And it's also a part of the upcoming ERC AI Federation. So there, the My Access ID component is something that's tightly coupled to the EduID on the German level. So also that is our vision of how to connect in future to the ERC AI Federation on an architectural level. And as it is also for us an abstraction layer for the services that are being connected to the NFDI AI Federation. Coming back to the concepts of the community AI as our central component for serving the NFDI consortium. That is basically, or all of them offer essentially the same functionalities. That is, they are using the SAML, SAML, or OAuth2 OIDC protocols to provide information about the identity. So essentially that is a login service, if you want to call it that way. And it delivers a certain set of standardized attributes for identifying the information, like a persistent identifier for the person and the name or email address and other information. And the greedy details of all of that are posted on our documentation. We try to keep that up to date with the latest information on how things are formatted and how things are technically looking. And So the nice thing about the community AI is that you are directly hooked up to the community and you don't have to spend time on connecting with the individual home organization. So this is again abstracted. So even without the infrastructure proxy or without the EduID system in place, you can just with the community AIs already save a lot of time and effort to connect your service to the central identity management systems or to the central login providers of the universities that are already in place. Then an additional feature that all of the community AIs have, briefly mentioned that, is the so-called virtual organizations feature. And that's basically a way of forming groups within your community, of representing your community in subgroups. And there's a special identifier for that that you can find and that you get as an attribute basically on the login. And that allows the NFDI consortia to manage and invite community members, and on the other hand, allows services to place or to base rules or access on that. So instead of giving individual permissions to people or to individuals, you can base these authorization decisions on groups, which can then be centrally managed and don't have to be replicated in several services. And of course, there's a way to not only do that on a top level, but all of the community AIs do support subgroups. So you can break that down and organize your community into that virtual organization. And if you are in need for that, you can always reach out to the operators of the community AIs to sort out the details and how to build that for your individual community. And then we do have of course, a mapping of our consortia who we are currently covering. So we do have 20 of the 26 consortia covered already. With different kinds of requirement profiles, be it from structural consulting about the policies to development of new features within the community AIs. Everything is welcome here, so not only the technical discussions. Then one more call to action. If you plan to implement any identity and access management processes in your services within your community, within your NFDI consortium, feel free to respond to our call for incubators, which just has been opened more or less. We're still accepting submissions. So please hand in your ideas and engage into the discussion to get your project started and to reserve some implementation time within our team. So the next incubator call is open for a couple of weeks still. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. And that's it from my side. I still have the quiz slide and hope to be able to answer a couple of questions.
Yes, thanks a lot, Marius.